The 24 public schools in Brooklyn will reopen today after being removed from the red zone COVID clusters despite a rise in the number of cases across the city. The average positive test rate for New York City inching closer now to 3%, which according to Mayor Bill de Blasio will require all schools to close. In a Daily News op-ed earlier this week, Teachers Union President Michael Mulgrew praised the city and the Department of Education for safely getting students back into the classroom. However, he did outline areas where improvement is needed when it comes to remote instruction. He wrote the DOE needs to better support school communities by getting and keeping working technology, necessary staffing, professional training to make remote learning more effective. This comes as the clock is ticking for parents who want to sign their children up for in-person learning. UFT President Michael Mulgrew joining me now with how teachers are bracing for a possible new wave of students into the classroom. Good morning to you, sir. Good to see you again.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
So let's get to this. 23 Brooklyn schools reopening today. How are teachers responding to that news?
The teachers have gotten used to the opening or going back to remote, back and forth. They've gotten quite used to that because we knew that would be the normal for this year. But we're getting very concerned now about the overall city average, which is definitely getting close to the 3%.
Right. So when you look specifically at Staten Island, right? Staten Island has some of the highest infection rates in the city. Right now, it has over a 4.8% rate. What's the strategy for schools, teachers, educators there?
So in Staten Island, what is happening right now is they'll start doing much more aggressive testing. They'll start doing more random testing for every school over the next couple of days. So you'll see a massive testing surge going on in Staten Island. That's our way of trying to protect the school communities. But during the summer, when we had this debate with City Hall, just remember the epidemiologists, the experts had told us it's always going to be about the spread in the community. Mm-hmm. What we're doing in the schools will keep the schools safe up to a certain point.
Right.
And then the epidemiologist's concern was they said, like, a school is a community, but that community is made up of neighborhoods. You might have a hot spot in 2 or 3 neighborhoods, but if the overall keeps going up around a school, what will happen is it'll spread to all the neighborhoods that a school interacts with in the entire community. That's why we're very, aggressive and looking at that 3% number, because we don't want the schools. We are able to keep our schools safe, but if it's the overall community spread that continues to go up, then we're going to have a much bigger problem.
So you support at 3%, shut all the city schools down?
Everybody goes remote.
So, and parents, this is a big question for them. They have until Sunday to opt in for in-person learning. As it stands, more than half of the city students are currently fully remote. Do you think that trend will continue of going remote? What's your advice for parents who have to make the decision by Sunday?
I think because of what is going on right now, I didn't agree with the mayor when he went from 3 opt-in periods to 1. I think that should still be on the table. That people should have the right to opt in at different points of the school year. But at the same time, if you're not opting your child in for remote, we need your child in school. So that just needs to be made clear to parents that we're doing that. If you do want your child to come in person, we want them there, but they need to be there. It's not that you don't want to lose a seat, but you're still going to keep the child home. I think the mayor should have just clarified that to parents and then allowed the parents to make those choices.
Understood. I want to talk to you about staffing. The city has hired 5,600 new teachers and substitutes and an additional 2,000 licensed staff for school as well. We had discussed over the course of some time that there were some staffing shortages. Has this helped alleviate some of the problems as we head into the winter months? Where are you standing on staffing?
Yeah, it's alleviated quite a bit of the problems, but still we have 3 different styles of learning, and for a school system our size, I saw a number. People the other day were like, a reporter had asked me, "Well, there's only 300,000 children coming to school in New York City. Was it worth it?" That's Chicago. So yes, it's worth it because you see that it makes a difference. So with the 3 different styles of learning, of instruction, is why we had to hire more people. It has alleviated it, but we still have challenges.
Are you hearing concerns from teachers and staff as they look at these numbers? Every single day, the numbers are going up now, right? So we know it's going in the wrong direction. Just yesterday, the health commissioner said it was at 2.5%. Some now saying it's not a question of when, if, but when the city will reach that 3% mark. So what are teachers saying?
They're concerned. They remember what we lived through in March, and they feel, they were very, they felt good when the agreement was 3% and the schools would go remote. and they just want to make sure that that's what the city is going to do, which I'm confident that they will.
When you look at cities like Boston, Philadelphia, San Francisco, right now they have no schools, no plans on reopening schools, despite low transmission rates. If the city does reach that 3% threshold, when do your teachers feel safe that they can return back to school?
When we see the trend over a 7-day period constantly going down is when we would be comfortable to do that. It can't be that we did 7 days and we're at 2.9,
right,
and then we open up the schools again for live instruction, and then the next day it brings us back over 3. I don't think that's what parents need. We need stability. So hopefully if we can get, and this is really about New York City as a whole, if we can get this rate back down,
right,
we want our schools open. But we don't want our schools open and putting our students and their families and all of the teachers and staff who work there at risk. And we've seen that happen already in different places in the United States. And New York City, and we're proud of this, has handled this better than most places. And we are the only large school district in the country that has been able to open. And as you said in the beginning, our numbers are extremely low inside of the schools because of everything that we have put in place.
Yeah.
So we just have to remain in that mind frame that there's nothing perfect. There is nothing. Every decision that is made during this pandemic will have an issue or a problem attached with it. But that's the world we're living in, which is why let's get to a vaccine and let's all get back to normal.
You mentioned that word. You mentioned that word, stability. Stability for parents, educators, everybody in a very unstable time. Mr. Mulgrew, thank you for coming on this morning. Do appreciate you as always.
Be well, okay? Be safe.